every page. So give a huge round of applause for Sir. And the book written by him is a powerful collection of 18 real tales of inspiring men and women. This book is a tribute to courage, reliance, and purposeful living. From mountaineers to monks and warriors to artists, each story encourages you to seek life's deeper meaning. So for this launch, I would like to invite on stage Farah ma'am, Harmonica ma'am, Dr. Tripti Sharan, Dr. Sujata Prashar, and Dr. Vandana Vasim ma'am to do the book revealing. And Bushra ma'am is
Like some of you may know, I am a captain from the Merchant Navy. So during COVID, my lockdown was on the ship. You are used to getting locked in your colony. I was locked by countries. So, and that was something all seafarers were facing, that countries wouldn't let us get off. We were welcome to come and take cargoes and discharge cargoes, but we were not let off the ship. And literally country by country, Australia, Japan, the biggest countries you can think of. India was one of the first which opened the doors and let the seafarers come home. So I was trapped like many of you. But more than anything, as the daily WhatsApp messages used to come with many people falling sick and all that. And there was a particular day I remember, I think it was 2nd of May. And I'm getting goosebumps because on that particular day, almost every friend I knew was down with COVID, including their families. And it was scary and I was helpless. There's nothing I could do. I couldn't take them to a hospital. I couldn't get medicines for them. I really felt helpless and I just prayed and I said, let me do something about it. So I said, when you are in a corner, the least you could do is at least inspire somebody else. So what happened as a awakening call on 2nd of May, this was the second COVID, not the first. I started writing this book. And this was in parallel. My first book was already started. It was Noor. I brought copies of that today. That was my first book. It came out almost 3 years back now. So I started penning this more like giving back. It is motivational tales with my outlook, the way I had seen life. So what I felt is there are boundaries and limits to what we think of what we can do. So there are limits set by the corporate world where they say goals are everything, targets are everything. And at the same time, even if the church or the temple or the Gurdwara is telling you that be kind and donate a bit, then we are kind of limited by that. But so there is one person here in this book which I found quite fascinating. This person alone raised $100 billion. You've heard people donating 5, 10 billion, the biggies, yeah? This guy was not a billionaire, never was a billionaire. But he managed to get 100 billion together and he changed trajectories of countries. Not a person, not a family, not a village, not a city, but countries itself. So the poorest countries of Africa, he managed to go to the presidents of many of the Western countries and prime ministers and told them, waive the loan off. You charging $150 million from the poorest country in the world, that country, GDP is going and paying off the interest. And that doesn't make any difference to you. So from the George Bushes, Bill Clintons, Tony Blairs, this guy walked into the offices and forced them to clear the loan. And he was a rock musician, he's somebody you all know. He was Bono of U2. And we all know Bono of U2, but we don't know this part of the story. So it starts, that's one of the stories here. Among nationalists, where all of us feel we are very patriotic of a country, so there was this Nepali guy who was nationalist, and the stamp that had been put on Nepal mountaineers from Nepal, but they were Sherpas. So they were always assistants to the Western climbers. So this guy said, what the hell? He twisted the thing around. The last record of climbing 14 tallest mountain peaks was 6 years. He did it in 6 months. And believe me, as a Nepali, he went to the Nepali government, Nepali companies, nobody would support him. And this guy mortgaged his own house, his entire savings, retired from a very cushy life of Gorkha Rifles with the UK, and decided to follow his path. He's now one of the world's most famous mountain climbers. His documentary is on Netflix, 14 Peaks. I'd implore you to read that. I was not impressed by that. No. What I was impressed by was when this guy was on a very tight window. Try to imagine, put yourself in this guy's shoes. He has mortgaged his house, he's put his life savings, he's going for a world record. He has no backup, there's nobody helping him. And he has a very limited weather window to climb the next mountain. And if he misses it, then he misses by a couple of months. So he loses the world record. See what is at stake. He's got only one thing to say to the world, I'm going to do a world record. And he's got a very limited window. And when he's ready to climb the next mountain, somebody tells him, there's a mountaineer who's trapped 14,000 feet on the peak that you just came down from. So this guy, imagine what anybody else would do. Usne sab kuch laga diya hai on this, what he's trying to do. But this guy went back. Because life is more important than anything else. And the life of a fellow human is more important than anything else. Another big example, funny example, our favorite chef, Vishal Khanna. Again, caught up, tied up in New York. Caught in COVID, just like me. But what does he do? He starts a campaign called Feeding India. Gets the NRIs to get the money together. And runs a campaign in India, sitting in New York, trapped in his house. People don't know that story. That's in this book. There are ladies who have gone through some really traumatic times, from poverty to a gruesome divorce to being attacked by robbers on a train. Just try, I will end with this, but this is something which really tugged at my heart, apart from one more story, one short story. This lady was thrown off a train, and when she was thrown off a train, she fell unconscious, and she landed on the parallel track. Another train ran over her leg. She lay trembling all night, and when she woke up because of pain, because rats were eating her foot, which had got cut. And she started shrieking and crying, and villagers heard her. And from that position, recovering, she starts to decide what she wants to do with her life. Anybody would be broken. She decided to climb Mount Everest. So, got a artificial foot and became the first woman with an artificial foot to climb the Mount Everest. And she climbed it twice.
Whoa.
So it's stories like these. There are stories of bravery, of course. The Paramveer Chakra winners. Our youngsters today are so, at the age of 21, maybe looking for their next phone or the next gadget available in the market or the latest fashion. This guy was in the army. He broke the rules and went to the front, even though he had just passed out of NDA. And when given orders, what he had been trained in the NDA, that follow orders. So when he had the orders to withdraw, he refused to withdraw. The story gets even more grey because he passed away. He won the Paramveer Chakra. His name is in shining golden letters in NDA in the dining hall for every army officer to see. But what was even more life had in store for that family. The boy's father happens to go to Pakistan just a few years back. Because he was from Pakistan, we all, even I'm from the other side, my parents were born in Rawalpindi and Lahore. So we all have this thing to go back to and just see our roots. So he went back for that, and somebody in the army in Pakistan heard a brigadier from India who's trying to, trace his roots. So some army general in Pakistan reaches out to him and says, "You're a brigadier, I'd like to host you." And they became good friends over the next 3 days.
dining and eating out and all that. Yeah? On the last day, the general started behaving very differently, cold, aloof, and the Brigadier Saab was very scared, like, what's going on? And he was to leave the next morning. And in the evening when they met, and there was a gap before they spoke, and he says, why are you behaving like this? So he said, I don't know how to say this to you, that you are my friend, but it's I who killed your son. So in that battle which happened, the tank battle that happened, he said, both the tanks fired. And unfortunately, I lived and your son died. Imagine what must be going through that father who went through that. And so that's here. So stories which are different, stories which are deeper. And the last part, what also actually got me to start writing this book was during COVID, one of the kids who was doing PhD committed suicide. And there were many factors behind it, one of them being caste, where he had a boss and who was really pushing him into a corner, not letting him do his thesis on time. And his parents, his sister's wedding was there. This is a real story, happened in the first week of May 2021. The family was calling home because it was his sister's wedding. And this professor, his boss wouldn't let him go. He said, Agar tu jayega, your 3 years of thesis is over. He committed suicide because he didn't know what to do. When I researched it, shockingly at that time, from 2016 to 2020, the highest number of suicides in India was among students, and among students, the highest among IITs. How scary is that? The best institution in the country have the highest IIT. Now we are hearing of suicides in Rajasthan, Kota, yeah. So they are realizing that there is this problem. So, well, there is more to life than this rat race. There is a spiritual angle too. Not that you have to become a sant and go to the forest, but what I'm trying to say is, we are endgame. We have our philosophy, we have our religions. And are we actually following the path that we are supposed to follow? So there are 3 stories with which this book ends. And one of them being of a very senior preacher from ISKCON, whose friend committed suicide when he was studying in IIT, and he decided to leave the rat race and join ISKCON. He's not gone to a forest and become a monk, he's practicing monk of ISKCON. There are Jains who throw diamonds, you hear, and they go and embrace monkhood, and then finally, something closer to my heart. What is the best a young man who's 35 can expect? So there was a person in the UK who had a Porsche, was single, had many girlfriends, like completely free bird. He was the CEO of a company holding majority of the shares in the company, millionaire many times over, captain of the rugby, football and cricket teams of that particular county, hero of the village where he was living, star, everything great. And one day, after he's half drunk, bumps into a priest and he says, I don't know, I feel empty. So the priest asked him, are you happy? And he says, no, I'm empty. He said, maybe you need to find yourself. This guy gave up everything and became a monk. In Italy, he left UK and went to Italy. How do I know the story? The father who told him to find himself also met me. I spent half a day with him in UK. And that story is from there. You can't get that anywhere. But what I'm trying to say is I see a lot of parallels along religions, along people, across countries. There are no boundaries. So from the US, from Europe, UK, Pakistan, Nepal, India, many stories in this book. And I implore you to read them, get inspired, and do share with others. Lots of love. Thank you for listening and patiently waiting me out. And thank you for coming on Sunday. And thank you, Nas, for having me over for the book launch. This book actually was given up because I found it too complicated writing. Non-fiction is hard because you got to get the facts right. Some of the people in the book, when you go through it, there is Avicii, there is Vikas Khanna, and many others, many big names. Some of them are Hollywood authors. Hollywood actors also. So sometimes I would just get overwhelmed and I'll just put the book out. And what happened is, I'm working on newer projects, bigger publishers have taken me on, like Srishti, and I'm writing for them. So the book was actually on a back burner. I kind of gave it up because I just found it to be too overwhelming. In December this year, just 3 months back, I was on a flight to Bangalore, and I was sitting next to a very quiet guy from somebody doing computer science, and he did a PhD in computer science. Very quiet, unassuming guy, and I just told him that I had written something about a suicide by somebody following, and he very casually looked at me and said, "हाँ होता है, हमारे भी बैचमेट ने एक दो ने किया है." This guy was so smug about it and so like matter of fact about it, कि hey, it's a part of, and I was like, shit, I forgot my purpose. This story needs to go out. You don't need to bloody commit suicide. Give the shit up and find your calling. Do something else. And that brought me back on track, and I completed this book. I wouldn't go to any publisher who would take another 6 months, a year. I published this myself because I had to get the book out. Because I think there is some kid out there who needs this, or some parent out there who needs to read this. Thank you. Thank you.